Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story that perfectly captures the wild complexities of hope and, well, the sometimes totally unpredictable nature of human behavior. We're looking at A Letter to God. We're going to break down the narrative, check out the incredible situational irony, and really dig into the core themes that make this such a timeless piece of literature. Let's get right into it. So let me ask you a kind of surprising question right off the bat. Have you ever written a letter to God? I mean, really think about that for a second. If you had total, absolute certainty that God would not only receive your letter, but actually sit down and read it, what would you write? What would you ask for? Today's explainer focuses on a guy whose faith was so incredibly profound, so completely unshakable, that he did exactly that. He sat down, wrote out his deepest needs, and dropped that letter right into a mailbox, fully expecting a reply. Let's see what actually happens next. Section 1. The Farmer and the Storm. A year of hope washed away. Our story centers around Lencho. He's a hardworking farmer, and his entire livelihood depends entirely on the land. He's put in the back-breaking labor, and now he's just waiting for one good rain to secure his family's future. But watch how this builds into a brutal, emotional roller coaster. First up, expectation. The clouds roll in, and Lencho's heart just soars. Then the joyful showers begin. The rain starts to fall, and you gotta understand, to Lencho, these aren't just drops of water, they are literally coins from heaven. It's a blessing that guarantees his survival. But then, step 3 hits. The gentle rain suddenly violently morphs into a massive hailstorm. And finally, step 4, complete destruction. In just a matter of minutes, the fierce hail absolutely decimates the fields. A whole year of intense labor and bright hope is just completely washed away, leaving Lencho and his family staring down the barrel of ruin and hunger. Which brings us to Section 2, A Letter to God, Unwavering Faith in the Darkest Hour. Now, most people in Lencho's shoes would be completely broken at this point, right? They'd curse their luck or just fall into total despair. But Lencho possesses something pretty extraordinary. Despite facing the absolute ruin of his livelihood, he holds on to this ultimate, unyielding faith. He truly believes that no one dies of hunger as long as God is watching. So he literally wrote a formal letter to God, asking for the exact amount of money he needed to replant his fields and survive until the next crop came in. Just imagine the pure, innocent conviction it takes to address an envelope simply to God, drop it into a public mailbox, and just walk away with total peace of mind, fully expecting the post office to deliver it to the Almighty and for a response to come back. Moving on to Section 3, The Postmaster's Good Deed. Humanity steps in.
Naturally, a letter addressed to God causes a bit of a stir among the post office employees. But when this letter reaches the postmaster, who's this really kind, amiable guy, his initial laughter quickly turns to deep seriousness. He is so moved by Lencho's unwavering faith that he doesn't just feel bad for him, he actually takes action. The postmaster pools his own salary and asks for contributions from his colleagues and friends, gathering as much money as he possibly can to help this desperate farmer out. He places the collected money into an envelope addressed to Lencho, and to preserve the farmer's beautiful belief, he signs it with just one powerful word: God. It's a profoundly beautiful act of unseen human kindness and empathy.
But here is where the narrative takes a sharp turn. Section 4. The ironic twist, when good deeds go punished. When Lencho returns to the post office the following Sunday, he is handed the letter, and you know what? He isn't surprised in the slightest to receive a reply from God. That was always his expectation. But as he opens the envelope and counts the money, his smile fades. We are looking at a direct collision here between reality and his own belief. The reality is that a group of incredibly kind humans, led by the postmaster, gave up their own hard-earned money out of pure compassion to save a stranger. But Lencho's belief? Well, he believes God is perfect. God doesn't make math mistakes, and God certainly wouldn't deny his full request. Therefore, in Lencho's mind, there is only one logical explanation for the missing cash. The post office employees must have opened the envelope and stolen the rest of the money. Enraged by this assumption, Lencho marches right back to the counter, asks for a pen and paper, and writes a second letter to God. And in this second letter, he makes a very specific request. Do not send it through the post office. He essentially tells God to send the rest of the money directly to him because the people working at the post office are a bunch of crooks. It is an absolutely spectacular piece of situational irony. The very people who sacrificed to help him are the exact ones he accuses of robbing him, bringing this surprisingly humorous, yet kind of tragic twist to the close of the story. All right, let's look at the bigger picture. Section 5, Themes and Exam Takeaways, Cracking the NCERT Class 10 Chapter. If you're studying this story, you really need to look at the layers Gregorio Lopez y Fuentes has built here. It's not just a funny story about a misunderstanding. It's a deeply analytical look at the human condition. First off, our main character is Lencho, the resilient, deeply faithful farmer. The central themes you absolutely need to discuss are faith, hope, and human nature. The author, like we said, is Gregorio Lopez y Fuentes, who masterfully uses irony to deliver the narrative. And finally, the core message you should take away from this is the delicate balance between having immense faith and simultaneously recognizing and respecting human goodness and solidarity.
Distilling that down to a single moral, we get this. Faith is a great power, but do not jump to wrong conclusions about others' goodness. Lencho's faith in the divine was so absolute, so blindingly bright, that he entirely failed to see the very real earthly miracle that had happened right in front of him. The post office workers demonstrated the highest level of humanity, but because of Lencho's rigid assumptions, their noble intentions were entirely misunderstood. Basically, he assumed the worst about his fellow man, precisely because he assumed the best about God.
Which leaves us with a really profound question to wrap up today's explainer. Can blind faith sometimes make us blind to humanity? It's a powerful thought to carry with you. I mean, how often do we overlook the everyday kindness or the unseen sacrifices of the people right around us, simply because we're looking for miracles in the wrong places? Lencho's story is a brilliant reminder that while faith is a beautiful anchor in a storm, we absolutely must keep our eyes open to the inherent goodness of the people standing right beside us. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the stories you read.